he's not familiar with a woman, with a female or menstruating person's body, because if he did, he would know that you don't have 6 weeks. Is that quote unquote 6 weeks? And I'm sorry we have to break it down on, break down biology 101 on national television, but in case no one has informed him before in his life, 6 weeks pregnant means 2 weeks late for your period. And 2 weeks late on your period for any person with a menstrual cycle can happen if you're stressed, if your diet changes, or for really no reason at all. So you don't have 6 weeks. This idea that we're going to quote unquote end rape when the same type of, frankly, rape culture and the same type of misogynistic culture that informed this abortion law to begin with is also, those beliefs are held by the governor himself and this Texas state legislature. Frankly, there are many people in power, as we know from the Me Too movement, that commit sexual assault, that help their friends cover up these crimes. And some of them even serve in the same state legislatures that are voting on these just these anti-choice bills. It's awful. And he speaks from such a place of deep ignorance and it's not just ignorance, it's ignorance that is hurting people across this country.
It is, and it's splitting women, and that's the point, because the misogynist and the white supremacist misogynist crowd in this country, the QAnon freaks, okay, they're already separated from the idea of democracy. They're already separated from the idea of majority rules. They're already willing to commit acts of violence against other Americans. They're already there. And the thing that motivated them was racism, right? The thing that got them to hate women was racism and the incel movement, involuntary celibacy, because they felt they were ugly and women wouldn't have them. And so they have already been supercharged into action. So what's left? What's left is dividing women. And they've been very good at it. The school board meetings, the anti-mask movement, the Karens in this country. Now, most of them have been spawned by this crazy Trumpism belief that my body, my choice, right? It's like beating the police officers, the white supremacists beating the police officers with Blue Lives Matter flags. Now you've got women out there saying my body, my choice with regard to mask wearing. And then the crap really hits the fan on this it's not pro-life, they're pro-disease. You can't be pro-disease and pro-life. Okay? You can't be anti-food and pro-life. You can't be anti-education and teaching true facts to children and be pro-life. I digress. So now all of a sudden, the women are divided too by the issue of my body, my choice for masks, but not in real life when it comes to you and your doctor or you and you deciding what to do in your person. And let's leave rape out of it, even though they don't have an exception for rape or incest, which is rape if you ask me. They don't have an exception in that bill. And so a lot of people are going to focus on that portion of it, like the reporter with Greg Abbott, who said, yeah, well, it's a crime and we'll stamp it out and we'll stomp it out. We'll get rid of rape, even though Texas has the highest number of forcible rapes in America. Now, Alaska has more per capita, meaning Alaska is smaller, but it's number one per capita for rapiness. Alaska is a very rapey place. But so is Texas. Texas has about 14,000 rapes every year. The rape kits are not mandated, and they just sit on a shelf. They just sit. So this is really sick and twisted, and I'm trying to figure out, why are they doing it? Well, when you look at what they did it in tandem with, okay, limiting access to voting, predominantly for people who do shift work or for people who, work long hours, or for people who want to mail it in because they're disabled, or people who want to mail it in because they work, 2 jobs or 3 jobs. You understand. And they criminalized, seriously, anybody assisting you if you need assistance who's not cleared to assist you. They're always going after individuals. individual responsibility, individual freedom. The personal responsibility people won't take responsibility for getting a vaccine or wearing a mask, but they're pretty sure that they can control who votes. They also put in the poll watchers, the partisan poll watchers, who will now be armed, by the way, and can stand in your polling place and look over your shoulder while you vote. And if they don't like who you voted for, they can challenge your vote now. They can challenge it. So why do they do this? Why? Why is this is it just the love of fascism itself? Maybe. That's why they went to Stasi tactics. Neighbor ratting out neighbor. That's Stasi crap. And if a neighbor rats out a neighbor in Stasi land, which is East German secret police land, then you don't get to work anymore. Your life is ruined. Maybe you don't get a meal, but maybe the rat gets an extra 10 grand and they get a meal. You see what I mean? That's Stasi land. Now, this does mimic the Fugitive Slave Act, which did not work out well either for anybody, because ratting out each other is never a good bet for a democracy to function at a highly functional level. But the reason they're doing it is really very basic. It's because Republicans aren't popular anymore. They're mean girls. They're truly the mean girls among us. They're not popular. The amount of people I have told you over and over again in America who identify as Republican has deteriorated below 35%. Okay? And they know that they can't win with majority rules. So they've rigged the system. They've rigged it so that one person is against another. They've rigged it so that racism is the thing you think about and talk about when you go vote. They rigged it so that fear and anger motivate people to go. Now, it's kind of hard to get excited about voting in Texas because when you get there, you're going to find like Ted Cruz and Louis Gohmert on the ballot. So it's kind of hard to be excited about it. But even if you were excited about voting against them, knowing it probably won't make a difference, now they made it harder for you to do that. They're trying to weed out people who say, well, there's nobody I would vote for anyway. They're trying to weed out people who say, Texas is on the cusp of going blue, and I want to be involved in that because this has all got to come to an end. The idea of having Ann Richards again as a governor, the idea of having an LBJ who believed in civil rights enough to stake his whole presidency on it. That's not a lost idea. That's not something Texans forget about. That's not something anybody forgets about. So they want to rig the system for a tyrannical minority. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.